A mustard seed? The kingdom of God? And Jesus compared it to a mustard seed that grows into a mustard bush? When people heard this, they just couldn't believe their ears. Kingdoms in the Hebrew scriptures, like the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Egypt, the kingdom of Babylon, had usually been likened to the cedars of Lebanon. Majestically tall trees, in fact, incredibly tall, with exceptionally strong wood, whose timber was used in the building of palaces and temples. Expensive timber. But Jesus describes the kingdom of God not as a cedar of Lebanon that you'd go to a botanical garden to look at, but a mustard seed that grows into a mustard bush, something that grew in their backyards. Certainly a very big vegetable plant, though some considered it a weed. Once in your garden, you had buckleys of getting rid of it. And he talked about birds nesting in their branches. Birds in the metaphorical language that was used when kingdoms were likened to the cedars of Lebanon usually meant people from other nations. In Jesus' previous parable, they meant the enemy. Remember, they ate up the good seed. So this large, common mustard bush was going to be somewhere that Gentiles and unworthy people would flock to. This is not what the people who were listening to him had in mind, what the kingdom of God was like. But what did Jesus have in mind? Well, he was telling people that unlike other kingdoms or empires that were majestic because of their military might or their political influence or their economic power, God's kingdom was not going to have any of that. But it was going to grow. It would be impossible to get rid of it. It would be a refuge for even the most unworthy of people. People were surprised that a small seed could become a plant that was so tenacious, so prolific, so large for a vegetable plant, and people would be surprised how God's kingdom would become so prolific, so large, and so tenacious. Still, the most persecuted religion, and yet Christianity is the largest religion in the world today. People were surprised by the metaphor, the parable of a mustard seed that Jesus used to describe what God's kingdom would be like. But wow, you've got to admit, it was a good one. Join me as I look at the other parables of Jesus. If this video has given you a new perspective of the parable, then give me a like. Make a comment if you disagree, or subscribe. And God bless.